Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into the game that started it all, Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy. Join me as I play through the entire adventure from beginning to end, battling classic bosses like Wispy Woods, Kracko, and King Dedede, while exploring Dreamland. Whether you're visiting this Game Boy classic or experiencing Kirby's very first adventure for the first time, this gameplay walkthrough has you covered. Let's jump into the adventure. The first thing I'll mention in this video is that there's no storyline intro to this game, and all of the storylines contained in the manual. So if you want to see the story to this game, you'll just have to read the manual, as I most likely won't be explaining the storyline of this game during this video. Pretty soon I'm gonna be fighting the first mini-boss, Puppy Brother Senior, and the names of all the enemies are shown when you beat the game on Extra Mode, which I'll talk about later. And for this guy, he'll at first throw 2 bombs, and you can just inhale them and shoot them back at him using the B button. And then he'll either jump back and forth, and to avoid this you can simply stand still right at the spot where you start the battle at in order to avoid this, or he'll throw a third bomb. He'll do both randomly, and he threw a third bomb in this video, and you can just inhale that and shoot that back at him to win the battle. Or you can wait until he throws the third bomb and then shoot that back at him to win the battle. And in this game, Kirby can inhale enemies and shoot them at other enemies, and he can also press down and eat them. Though this doesn't do anything, he can't copy enemies' abilities like he can in Kirby's Adventure and most of the other Kirby games. Kirby's Adventure being the game that came after this one, which introduced copy abilities that Kirby can use in most of Kirby games. But not this one. And here we have the first boss, Wispy Woods. And he'll make apples fall down, which you can shoot back at him in random spots. And to also shoot puffs of air, which you can just duck down to avoid. And he'll shoot random puffs of air. He'll shoot random amounts of them. And sometimes he won't shoot them at all and he'll just make apples fall down. In which case you could just go ahead and inhale them in order to win the battle. So almost all of the bosses in this game have random patterns. There's only one boss of this game that doesn't, which I'll mention later. So there's a fair amount of randomness in this game, but as far as the levels go themselves, they don't have any randomness really, it's just the bosses that do. With one exception, which I'll talk about later. Here I get a candy item, which makes Kirby invincible to all obstacles except falling into pits. And candies are pretty rare throughout the game, and this is the only one that I pick up throughout this video. Here we have the mini-boss of this level, Lololo. And to beat Lololo, you just simply inhale blocks and shoot them back at him. And he'll appear in a random spot in the level each time you battle him. One of the other abilities that Kirby has is the ability to inflate himself by holding up, and he can use this to get to areas that he normally wouldn't be able to reach. And to deflate himself, you could just press the B button. Here we have the boss of this level, Lololo Lalala, and you need to inhale blocks and shoot them back at him, and they appear in random positions. And they each have 3 bars of health. And once you beat one of them, they'll disappear and then you can just focus on the other one. Now, there's a lot that can be said about this game, since it all goes by really quickly. I don't really have time to talk about all of it, but I will put links to other videos in the video description where you can learn more about this game, so you can watch this video and then watch those other videos to have additional information about this game that I don't have time to talk about in this video. Here we have the microphone item, and what the microphone item does, it allows you to beat all the enemies that are on screen. And here we have coconuts, and coconuts will try and fall on your head when you move past them, so I just go ahead and get rid of all the coconuts before I make my way past. And this is one of the few parts of the game that requires memorization in order to get past easily without getting hit. And to get past this coconut, you'll want to move to the right in order to avoid it, not the left. Because otherwise it'll fall on your head. Here I get the spicy curry item, and this allows you to shoot projectiles at a rapid fire rate. And here I take a hit, which normally I don't do. So I go into this optional area in order to get a pet brew, which gives me back some health as well as a 1-up, which I don't really need the 1-up, since it's easy for me to go through this game without losing a life. Although sometimes on the final level it's tricky for me to get by, but you'll just have to watch the video and see whether I get by without losing a life or not, as I won't spoil it here. And when you go in water, the spicy curry runs out. But since it's close to the point where the spicy curry will run out anyway, it's not really a problem that I have it run out early. Here I battle the third boss, Kabula, and Kabula is actually a female character notably, and she will shoot projectiles at you where you have to go in between them, or you can just simply go above or below them depending on how she fires them. She'll fire free that you can go in between, or she'll fire ones rapidly up and down. And then she'll charge diagonally, or she'll charge forward. And you want to try and be aware of the different ways she'll charge at you. But otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward battle where you can just simply fire rapidly at her in order to get by. This level's the first level that can be a bit of a challenge to get by, so I try and take my time here in order to make sure I don't take too many hits, or any at all if I can help it. Now these cannons that I make my way past, I can't remember what their names are, but you can't actually beat them, so you'll just have to avoid them. And those flying enemies that I passed by that are stationary, Scarfies I think they're called, if you try and inhale them, then they'll chase you, and then they'll explode. And if you attack them or run into them, then they'll explode. And you want to try to attack them from a distance so the explosion doesn't get you. And to do that, you simply inhale yourself and then shoot a puff of air at them from a distance. Or you can just avoid them entirely if you can do that. But otherwise, you'll just want to shoot a puff of air of them to get rid of them. Here we have the third boss of the game, and this his name I believe is Kracko Jr. And Kracko Jr. is the only boss of the game that doesn't have any randomness. He'll simply shoot these projectiles so you can go to the left to avoid, and then he'll shoot out this Waddle Dee, or Waddle Doo actually I think it's called, that you can just simply inhale really quickly and then shoot it back at him. And if you're not quick about it, then he'll shoot a beam at you, which you'll have to avoid. But otherwise, you could just go ahead and inhale the Waddle Doo and then beat him really quickly to win the battle. Now, I've heard on a video that these falling stars can hurt you, and but they actually can't hurt you in this mode. On extra mode, they might be able to hurt you, but on this regular mode, they can't. And since I took a hit here, I go ahead and go into this optional area in order to give myself a bag of magic food. Normally it's called a maximum tomato in other Kirby games and other games, but in this game it's called a bag of magic food. And I go ahead and get that in order to replenish Kirby's health before the boss. And if my health is full, then I can just go ahead and skip that area. And sometimes my health is full when I get to that part, so I don't always go to that area, but this time I went to that area. Here we have Kracko, and Kracko, he'll make Waddle Doos appear, and you can inhale them and shoot them back at him, and he'll shoot a beam, which if you stand far enough away, then you can just simply avoid it. And he'll also swoop down, which is his most dangerous attack, I think, and he can do that pretty quickly, especially. He can do that pretty quickly, or he can do that a little bit delayed, so he's pretty unpredictable. And it's pretty difficult to avoid him if he does this right after he shoots out a Waddle Doo. And I try to be prepared for this at all times. I try to usually jump right away after he shoots out Waddle Doo, or be prepared to. Because on one of my previous runs of this game, I got in trouble and got hit a lot by getting hit by his charge move right after he would shoot out Waddle Doo. And because of this, on the rematch with him in this level I'm playing, I ended up losing to the King Dedede fight at the very last second, on the very last hit. So I ended up not getting a Deathless run. So this is actually a re-recording that I did of this game on the higher video quality. So yeah. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and mention it now. This is a run that I did if I'll lose it live. I could have mentioned it later, but now's probably a good time to mention it anyway, since I'm close to the end of the game anyway. So the theme of this level is it repeats all the themes of the previous levels, and you just go through and touch the Kirby clone to get rid of the Gordo, because if you touch the Gordo, the spike enemy in this level, you lose life instantly. And once you get rid of the Gordo, you can go into the door by pressing up, and this will allow you to get to a rematch with a previous boss. And the bosses all have the same moves, and there's nothing different about them either in terms of the speed of their attacks either, so you could just use the same strategies against them. Just note that you'll have to play it safe, because there's no health items in this level, even before King Dedede, the final boss, so you have to be pretty cautious, and that's the main thing that makes this level difficult, other than the final fight, which can be pretty difficult, but it's mostly the fact that you don't have any health refills in this level, and you have to do it all in 6 hits that makes it difficult. And the bosses are all random here, so it can be pretty easy to end up taking a hit, especially against Kracko. And with these doors, you can go through them in any order, notably, so. But I just go through them in the order from up to down that I feel like is the most convenient order, but you could go for them in a different order if you want to. Now the thing about Kracko is that he'll randomly do his attacks, so you really have no idea how the battle's gonna go because each time it'll be a little bit different. And lately when I've been playing the game, he's been shooting out Waddle Dees and doing the charge attack at the same time after that a lot, so luckily during this next playthrough I've been able to get the hang of being able to dodge it more easily, and not really have any problems with it per se. And here's the battle against King Dedede. And King Dedede has a lot of health, which makes him pretty difficult. And he's another random boss. And 2 of his attacks will generate stars, which you can inhale and shoot back at him to deal damage. And he'll jump up into the air, and you can go behind him or to the side of him in order to inhale a star and shoot it back at him. And or he'll use his hammer and generate a star. And you want to make sure he's not too close to him when he does this so that he corners you. So you want to keep him at a good distance at all times. Make sure that you go over him when he's too close to you so that he doesn't corner you. And his other attacks are a charge attack and an attack where he tries to inhale you and shoot you back out. So this attack has a pretty good range if I remember right, so you want to try and be far away from him generally at all times. And if that'll be the end of this game, and they'll go ahead and show the ending, which is a pretty short ending than the credits. And while this is going on, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Extra Mode real quick. Now, Extra Mode is a more difficult version of normal mode, with different enemies and enemies that have different behaviors. So Extra Mode I have tried before, and the first level is really, really difficult, right from the beginning, so and I have seen all of Extra Mode, and there is a video that I'll link to in the video description that even lost a life at the end on Extra Mode to the final boss. So it's not something that Extra Mode's not something that I'm really gonna be doing because of the whole thing with that and playing it personally and having a lot of trouble leaving the first level. I'm not sure if I got by if I'll lose a life, or if I did, it was really, really difficult. Even Wispy Woods is really difficult on Extra Mode. So I'll just be showing normal mode, and that'll be it as far as Kirby's Dream Land videos goes. As far as for now. And when you beat the game on Extra Mode, you get a code which allows you to see the config mode of the game. And when you beat normal mode, you get a code which allows you to access Extra Mode. And with that, will be the end of this video, and the end of this commentary. So if you like this video, be sure to leave it a like, and if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. So if that'll be the end of this video, this is Isaac, and I will see you later.